What is happening?
The U.S. Supreme Court is currently hearing a case about a group of Maryland parents suing the Montgomery County School Board over the right to opt their children out of learning from LGBTQ-themed books in elementary English language arts instruction, claiming it violates their First Amendment right to freely exercise their religion and their parental rights to direct their children's religious upbringing. What? What kind of cockamamie nonsense is this? You don't want your children learning the alphabet being like, A is for anal plug, B is for ball gag, C is for cuckold, L is for leather daddy.
A filthy Sanchez?
Yes, good, Flora. You remember the filthy Sanchez.
Hot Carl?
Yes, you can give your partner the old hot Carl, sure.
Parents, they don't want this in their schools? I'm Bridget Phetasy, and this is your Dumpster Fire. Welcome to Dumpster Fire, where we make burgers out of your sacred cows. We premiere new episodes every Tuesday and Friday at 8 p.m. Central. Please join us in the chat. And really quickly, before we get going, some upcoming comedy dates for you guys. I will be opening for Colin Quinn at Mothership May 23rd to 25th. There's a link in the description below where you can buy tickets. Also, tickets are available for my stand-up comedy show, Ask Me Anything, at the Creek in the Cave. That is every other Thursday, second and fourth Thursday of every month. Link is in the description below for that. Oh, and finally, I've got a new show launching on two-way called Real America with Bridget Phetasy. And if you want to be a member of the audience, click the link below to register in order to get the Zoom link to be a member of the live audience. So we will go live. It will be topical, almost like a radio call-in show, but it's a Zoom-in show. You can be a member of the crowd. You can also talk to me, ask me questions, tell me what's going on in your life. It's going to be awesome. So I'm not exactly sure what our launch date is, but it's going to be in May. But you can pre-register for Zoom and get the link, and that will always be the link for this show, okay? In the case of Mahmood versus Taylor, parents brought a lawsuit against the Montgomery County Board of Education in response to new requirements that their children as young as 3 years old would read and be read books about LGBTQ plus topics, regardless of their parents' objections. Bethany Mandel wrote a great piece about this for Free Press back in August 2023 when it was still in the lower courts. She's been on this beat for 2 years. In her article, she talks about the list of books the children would be reading, which featured books like Intersection Allies, We Make Room for All, Born Ready, The True Story of a Boy Named Penelope, Rainbow Revolutionaries, 50 LGBTQ plus people who made history, the Stonewall riots, coming out in the streets, and Pride Puppy, which sounds adorable.
Why are you gay?
In Pride Puppy, it asks readers to search for images from a word list that includes intersex, drag queen, underwear, leather, and the name Marsha P. Johnson, a celebrated and controversial trans activist and sex worker.
You are gay.
So, in case you're wondering what the kind of counterpoint for this is, the argument is these books are just viewpoint diversity and inclusiveness, and you're just exposing kids to different ways that people live, which is all fine and dandy.
Gay!
But you should still be able to opt out of this. You can opt out of health and sexuality classes, but the school recategorized the books as part of the English language art curriculum rather than sexual education, which meant there was no opting out for parents, which is when they decided to sue the school in outrage. This is so devious, though. It's very devious to move these books that are blatantly about sex and gender and all of this stuff to just, oh, we're just talking about English. I don't know who is behind this. Maybe S is for Satan. So as early as pre-K, children are being introduced to what it means to be cisgender, gender binary, transgender, pansexual, queer. This is all language that's in the complaint, by the way. So you can go read this complaint for yourself. We will put it in the description. First graders will read a book discussing being non-binary and what pronouns fit you best. First graders.
Hi, my name is Erin. I use she, her pronouns, and I am
This is mental illness projected onto public policy. Later in 5th grade, 10 years old, children will read about a mother committing to sharing with loved ones that her boy is a girl. Nope. One illustration celebrates Martha P. Johnson, a self-described transvestite or queen, who built a life around sex and gay liberation, being a drag queen and sex work. I didn't learn about sex work until I was 12 years old watching Pretty Woman.
6 full nights, days to 4,000.
2,000.
3,000.
Done.
Holy shit!
I was not allowed to watch Pretty Woman at 12 years old.
Yeah, and that's why I was a whore and you weren't, Maggie.
$50, Grandpa. For 75, the wife can watch.
See how this stuff affects children?
It does make a difference what you're exposed to at a young age.
And that was me at 12. Imagine if you had told me that I could make up whatever gender I wanted to be when I was 3. I have a 3-year-old, by the way. Keep that shit away from freaking children. And I'm not like some school mom here, as I just mentioned. I had many years of whoring around. But this is the weird pornification of our society, and it goes all the way down to young ages. Why are we talking to 3, 4, 5-year-olds? We were awkward talking about sex ed at the appropriate time when we were going through puberty. Never did I have to talk about any of this stuff or learn any of this stuff when I was 3 or think about it or have it put in my brain at an age when I was too young to really understand what was even being said. And even more insidious and sketchy, the school board provided a resource guide on the Pride storybooks, which provided answers for how teachers should respond if kids push back. For example, the resource guide suggests teachers tell students who question the premise of gender identity, how dare they question it? It's so logical.
How dare you?
That the comment is hurtful. We shouldn't use negative words to talk about people's identities. The premise is insane. This premise is nonsensical. None of it makes any sense, and it relies on very simplified gender stereotypes to even make it make sense. But aside from that, it's like make-believe. It's literally like a child who believes that they're a turtle or whatever when they're children, or they believe all kinds of crazy cockamamie things, and we don't just let them run with it. We're other students to state what their parents taught them, that gender is not assigned at birth, but an observation of biological reality. The teacher is suggested to tell the student that when we are born, people make a guess about our gender and label us boy or girl based on our body parts. Sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. This is a religion because it is nonsensical and it is anti-science, and progressives are, by the way, clearly able to recognize when something is anti-science when it's creationism being taught in schools, which is rightfully not allowed. But somehow when you teach a child that they can just make up whatever they want to be and then have it go so far as to be taking drugs for the rest of their life and chopping off body parts, that this is not somehow a religion, and it's somehow something that is just a logical thing that these kids are supposed to believe when they get confused because they're children
who are being indoctrinated in this belief system.
It's so insidious. It is so insidious. And parents rightfully have been sensing that they're trying to indoctrinate these little kids and then beyond. And they're obviously and rightfully pushing back. Similarly, again, from the complaint, were a student to question why subjective feelings override objective biological reality, teachers are suggested to say that our gender comes from the inside. We might feel different than what people tell us we are. We know ourselves best. This is actually insane that you would tell a kid this, A, because it's confusing, but B, it's also not logical because it doesn't apply to anything else like race.
Hey everybody, I'm Chinese! This is how I feel inside.
No kid could be like, I feel like a black kid, and a teacher would be like, that's fine. They would squash that shit in a second and remind them how privileged they are if they were white. So it doesn't even apply to other things. It only applies to your biological reality. I hate to sound like one of these crazy people who are like, it's the Marxists, but this is deconstructionism. It is messing with fundamental ideas of reality. It is very confusing, and it makes people very easy to manipulate when they don't know it's real. And by the way, I don't want anyone talking to my kid about their genitals when they're 3 years old.
Can we do finger paints?
No, we can't do finger paints. You kids want to get herpes, huh? How about a nice bucket of AIDS? Sound good?
I don't like it. It's creepy. Everyone who senses that it's creepy has a right to sense that it's creepy. I'm like as pride paradey as you can possibly get. I've been to many of them. I've been to Folsom Street in San Francisco. I still don't think it's appropriate to talk to children about certain things that are beyond their understanding when they're little kids.
Right.
I get it. There's mommy and daddy, and that people can say, oh, people have all different kinds of family structures, whatever. That's okay. But we don't need to know how mommy is getting mommy off and daddy is getting daddy off, or mommy and daddy are getting off.
Young man, will you please pay attention? This is very important stuff. Oh.
We don't teach kids that from 3 to 5.
And celebrating kink.
Yeah, we don't celebrate kink. In this house, we believe kink is for grown adults. It sucks that this has to be framed and argued in the context of religious beliefs, because these are religious parents who are having to fight this fight because they have the grounds to fight it. But there are plenty of other normie parents who may not be religious who are not on board with this stuff, and they can't really fight it because they would just be called anti-LGBTQ or whatever. They would be smeared as bigots, when really my religion is, I don't want you talking to my kid about that, you weirdo. That's my religion. Is there an opt-out option for that? Get away from my kid. Before our next segment, don't forget to like, subscribe, touch my bells and buttons, and tell your friends about us. Please help us reach our goal of 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. You guys have spoken. When we hit 100,000, I will do my best Mexican weather report. En Espanol, you have to stick around through the ad to see the weather report, guys. Sorry, them's the rules. Does all of this talk about fighting for your children's rights make you want kids? You should know what your egg count is. This is why I love Quest's line of medical tests, specifically focused on women's health issues. They offer a basic women's health profile test that gives you a snapshot of your current health and wellness, women's hormone tests designed to identify imbalances associated with various health conditions, and specific tests for fertility, thyroid function, and even your menopausal stage. The best part about all of this is you can get it without a doctor's visit. You just simply purchase a lab-based test and access women's health testing at a nearby location, or get immediate results at home with at-home test kits. Your results are delivered online, quickly and discreetly. For lab-based tests included with your purchase, you have the option to discuss your results with an independent physician who may be able to prescribe treatment. So ladies, prioritize your health. And guys, you too, there are tests for men as well. And visit questhealth.com today. Use the code FIRE to get 25% off and find answers to the multitude of health questions you may have. That's questhealth.com and use the code FIRE for 25% off. Link is in the description below. Now let's check the weather with Andrea Canchola.
Un poco más de nubosidad el día de hoy, 26 la máxima, mínimas de 16. Guadalajara, llegamos a máximas de 29 grados Celsius, con condiciones de cielos también completamente despejados. Se activa la probabilidad de lluvia durante la tarde-noche. Querétaro 30, 24 Puebla.
Thank you, Andrea. The reason we're focusing on the Supreme Court hearing is because this battle between parents and the state is a huge part of the reason why Trump got elected. All of this gender nonsense that isn't happening in our schools is part of the reason why Trump was elected, particularly suburban moms coming out in force for him. Parents should have some authority over what they are teaching their children. They should not have to listen to the state demanding that they be taught things that they don't feel are appropriate for their children at their age range or whatever their religion is, or just because they think it's creepy and weird to be talking to their kids about that stuff. Parents should be able to opt out of this. This shit has no business being in schools. In these arguments, which you can go listen to for yourself, there's a great discussion between the attorney for the Montgomery County School Board, Schoenfeld, and Justice Gorsuch that was going viral.
Pride Puppy was the book that was used for the pre-kindergarten curriculum. That's no longer in the curriculum.
That's the one where they are supposed to look for the leather and things and bondage, things like that.
It's not bondage. It's a woman in a leather.
Sex worker, right?
No, that's not correct. No.
I read it.
It's a drag queen and drag
queen and drag queen.
The more important part of that clip is when he actually pushes him to admit that they're bringing this curriculum to influence the children.
And you've included these in the English language curriculum rather than the human sexuality curriculum to influence students. Is that fair? That's what the district court found.
I think
that?
To the extent the district court found that it was to influence them towards civility, the natural consequence of being exposed.
Whatever, but to influence them.
In the manner that I just mentioned, yes.
Okay.
And this is something that he admits to doing, even if he rejects the reason that they're saying they're trying to influence the kids. He does admit it's still an attempt to influence the children. And even more upsetting, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was saying, well, they can always just go to another school.
I guess I'm struggling to see how it burdens a parent's religious exercise if the school teaches something that the parent disagrees with. You have a choice. You don't have to send your kid to that school. You can put them in another situation.
I'm sorry, bullshit. First of all, if you're poor, you can't just move to another school district to go to a public school. What if the public schools were teaching creationism? Would that be her response? You can't opt out of this. So even if they could go to another school, your property taxes are still going to pay for all of these programs and the public schools. And even if you have to still pay your taxes for that, then you have to pay for private school or wherever else they're going to go to school on top of it. You're still not opting out of this. You're still paying for it.
Yeah, that's a privileged as argument.
It's privileged to even say that you can just move, but it's also not true. You can't just opt out of it. And don't even get me started about these are the same people who are like, bake the fucking cake. Oh, it's a burden to have to go to a different bakery, but not a burden to have to go to another school district? Like, you people are crazy.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
I can't even take it seriously. I literally had to ask these questions when I was looking for a preschool for my child. I have had to choose between indoctrinating my child with the zombie who walks on water and comes back from the dead, or you can chop your tits off when you're a teenager. And I'm going with the zombie Jesus. It's at least teaching love. It's not exactly clear what is going to happen. It depends on how narrowly the Supreme Court delivers a verdict. I'm not sure when that will be. It should be late June, early July, they think. It could be 6-3, 7-2. It does seem like they're going to rule in favor of the parents because they've read these books and even they were like, WTF. One of the reasons that this is so important and the reason that it's gotten a lot of attention is that Montgomery County is used as a testing ground for the progressive agenda. This is something Bethany Mandel was explaining. It's used as a trial balloon for what they can get away with the rest of America federally and public schools. In the lower courts, the parents lost at every single level because it's a liberal state and a liberal county, and then the Supreme Court decided to take this on. As Bethany Mandel was saying, this could be a decisive statement about these kinds of sexual topics in public schools. What is also crazy is how much money they are spending on this. It has cost the Montgomery County School Board $2 million to bring this case to the Supreme Court, and more money all over the place that we probably don't even know about to fight this battle. So it is a battle that they seem creepily invested in. And it is a level of brainwashing your kids, and it is a way of kind of separating kids from their parents or overriding parental authority. And I think when you push normies too far, normies will fight back, especially when it comes to their kids. Parents will just opt out all the way. More and more, you're seeing parents homeschooling. You're seeing parents pulling their kids out and saying, forget it. I don't want them anywhere near any of this. You're not meeting the parents where they are. They're skeptical of a lot of this stuff, rightfully, because when you actually look at it, it's weird. You don't want a 3-year-old learning this stuff. I don't want to have have to be all cray-cray about this stuff. Adults, whatever. And I understand, like, lots of different family structures and kids have lots of different things, but it's the sexual and graphic nature of the stuff that they're teaching young children and the gender ideology, which is creepy and weird and not based in science, and also it's like mental illness projected onto policy. I don't want that. I think as a parent, I have a right to say, I don't need my child learning that stuff. I don't need them questioning their gender at age 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. That's just a confusing thing to put in a kid's head, and I don't appreciate it. And I used to be like the cool kid in Gen X who could just sit on the sidelines and be like, ha ha, oh, you parents who have to care. And now I'm one of those annoying fucking Karens that's gotta care. I put the care in Karen, okay? Phetasy News! If you love Dumpster Fire, the best thing you can do is become a paid supporter at Phetasy.com. You get the unedited version of Dumpster Fire. We leave a lot of inappropriate things on the cutting room floor, and you also get access to our amazing community and everything else we're doing. Join us right here on YouTube every Tuesday and Friday night at 8 p.m. Central for the new Dumpster Fire. We do a live chat, which is always hilarious, and thank you to everyone who came tonight. Thank you to everyone who helps make Dumpster Fire possible. That would be you, viewers, commenters, supporters. That would be Quest. Thank you for sponsoring today's episode. And thank you, Maggie.
Thank you, Bridget.
And now to cleanse your palate, the internet is glorious. Remember, guys, life is absurd. Don't take yourself so damn seriously. Take the work seriously. Don't take yourself seriously. This has been your Dumpster Fire. I'm Bridget Phetasy. Now make me rich! Make me rich so I can send my kid to a private Catholic school.
And the unicorns dance while the world burns, world burns.